Alright, today I'm going to make a coat rack for my office at work. It's something I've been wanting to build a long time. I've never made a coat tree, but I've made a lot of other stuff in my life and it's not going to be a problem. My wife and son are away this weekend, so I got to shop to myself. I thought it'd be a nice little, day project that I could knock out and get done. So I'm not going to use the CNC machine for this. All my other tools I think are feeling jealous. I got quite a bit of them and I haven't used any of them since I got that machine basically. So I'm going to go back to my roots and use my other tools. So I'm excited to show you guys the process. So step one is digging through my pile of lumber, which I actually added to last weekend. I bought about, 150 board feet of various lumber. I got some cherry, maple, there's some walnut mixed in here, and then I have a shed out back that I built and I got a ton of lumber in it as well. So I'm not going to be buying any more lumber because I'm completely out of space. I also have another pile at my in-laws house that's very substantial, so I'm pretty stocked up. But I bought this piece here. I bought a whole bunch of beams out of a old carriage house. So it was built in the early 1900s, so it's super old. It's really nice when you plane it. It has a nice color, nice grain. It's just beautiful wood. This one's got some defects in it that I think I can cut out. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. So my goal is to be able to get like a 3x3 post out of it for the main part of the tree. So I'm going to dig this thing out and look at it, make sure I can use it, and then start milling it down to the size I want. Then I got some other smaller pieces like this that I will probably use to make the cross that the post will set down in. And then I'm torn on if I should get real nice metal brackets or try to make something out of wood. Now I'll probably just play with that once I get it to that point and see what I like visually. So, alright, I'm going to dig this out and we'll get to work. Alright, so I got all the lumber off the top rack down. I'm trying to decide right now which piece I want to use. This one has quite more defects than I remembered it having, so I think I'm going to use it just so that I'm not chewing up this one, which is a little bit nicer of a piece. So I don't know what to do. I hate to waste the stuff because they just don't grow it like this anymore. But so I'll make a decision and get to cutting. Alright, so I just straightened it up as best as I could. This thing weighs about 100 pounds, so it's straight enough to rip my stock a little rougher. I didn't want to, it was kind of crooked before, so I didn't want to try to use that down the table saw. So now it's fairly straight. I'll be able to get it to a more manageable size and then go ahead and throw it back on the joiner. But this thing is heavy. I'm not joking, I'm pretty sure it's very close to 100 pounds, probably just a touch under, but it's a dense piece of wood. But as you can see, look how tight the grain is on this thing. It's just gorgeous wood, so it's worth the struggle. Once I get it down to a more manageable like 3x3 size, it won't be an issue. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of it looks like. Alright, so we got the piece roughed in. It's 4 inches by 4 inches. just gave me a splinter. But it's a very, I mean, just, you can already see the figure in it. It doesn't show up on the camera very nice, but I mean, once, it's just beautiful color, beautiful grain. It's aged, like, so once we get it cleaned up, you'll really be able to see it. But I'm gonna mill it to 3 by 3, I think, maybe 3 1/4. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I got it 4 inches right now. That'll give me enough material to put it back on the joiner. It'll be a little bit, it's lost half its weight. I just cut it in half, but so it'll be a little more manageable to straighten up and get it like perfect. So that's what I'll work on next. All right, so I got the planer out, dust collection hooked up. I got my roller set up. This is a heavy piece, and let someone else hold all that weight, you know. So we'll get to milling. I'm gonna try to shoot for about 3 1/2. I got about a 1/2 inch of material to take off of it. There she is over there. So it's gonna take a while. I can only take off like probably a 30-second at the most with this, but it's what I got, and it's what we'll be using. Alright, so I got it milled down to 3 inches, 3 1/2, 3 1/4. It was just too chunky, and I'm borderline on this, but I like thick stuff. And I'll just show you some of the character in it. Old nail holes. Like I said, this was from a carriage house in Chambersburg, PA, and the guy that I bought it from said that the building was from the early 1900s, and it definitely was. But just look, I'm not gonna count those, but I mean, there's at least, that's a 4 by, that piece is 4 by 4, and there's probably over 100 growth rings in it. I mean, it's just incredible. So anyway, so now that I got the main pole milled out, I'm gonna start finding a couple pieces to make the base out and mill them down, cut them out, and figure out my joinery there. So all right, so a while back I made my wife a jewelry cabinet. It had a leg on it that I was thinking of doing something similar, so I found the template from it, and I think that that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna use that. There's no sense reinventing the wheel here, but I made this template, traced the stuff out, cut it out closely on the bandsaw, and then I'll use a flush cut bit with it on my shaper over there, and I'll have 2 identical feet. So I'm gonna get to it. Alright, so I milled these 2 pieces out, actually out of that little stumpy piece I dug out of the top. Cut them in half on the table saw, milled them down to 1 1/2 inches thick. So my leg will fit on there. It's a little bit big, which is what I want, so I'm just going to trace it out. And cut it out on the bandsaw, and then use a flush cut bit with this fastened to it to then trim it up, make it exactly 2 pieces exactly the same is what we're going for. So that's how I'm going to tackle it. So I dug the shaper out, got a flush cut top bearing bit chucked up. And now I'm working on putting some this double-sided tape on here. I'm hoping it holds enough, and then I'm going to stick this template on that we made onto there and run that against the bearing, and it'll make a nice exact piece of leg there. Alright, so I got to do this 2 different ways. I'm going to have to use this bottom bearing bit first, and run the template that side down, and then switch back because I don't have enough blade here to cut 1.5 inches. I did not realize that. It's not a big deal because I have a bottom bearing bit, so I'll put that in and run it with the template down on the bearing. So, and then I'll swap to this bearing or to this bit and run it with the template up to finish the cut. So it's not a huge deal. I'm going to swap bits and get it going. So after you run that bottom bit, you don't really need the template anymore because it'll ride, that bearing will ride on what you cut off the template. So that's how we'll do this one. Alright, so we got both pieces cut out for the feet, and they are dead on. So that's a great way to make 2 duplicate pieces. You got to really spend your time making the template, but once you do that, you can crank out pieces. So anyway, so now I got to figure the joinery out. I'm going to probably do so my thoughts are to make like a half lap joint so that this would set down inside of that, and then also hog out like a big dado on either side here on both, and then that 4x4 post will have a cross dado up inside of it, and it'll just like, you know, kind of set down in both of them, lock everything together. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna get ready to lay out and figure out. Basically, I made a center line and I transferred it the whole way around, and then I found the center on the top. So I'm gonna hog out a 1/2 inch between the 2 outside lines and leave that center 1/2 inch there the whole way across both sides, and then that'll fit. That'll create the pocket for the post to fit in. So I'm gonna get the table saw set up to dado this out. Alright, so I'm gonna use my sled that I made. It's square, so I'm going to use that to fine tune the sides and make sure it fits on the post, you know, just right. I'm not sure, I don't want to run my dado stack through this and ruin my, like, that's 0 clearance, so it won't splinter out. It's going to make a nice cut, square. So I might just cut the sides and then finish it off with a router and a flush cutting or a bottom cutting bit, flat bit, but we'll see. I might just hog it all out with the table saw too. It takes some time, but like I said, I don't want to ruin this sled, and I really don't feel like putting the dado stack in right now, but I might. We'll see. Alright, this will give you a kind of an idea where I'm going for. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did to this one with this one, and then I'm going to do a slot out here and a slot out on the bottom, and then these two will slide together and make a cross. So just want to show you like the So this will slip up in the middle like this. But just wanted to show you, like that's what you want. You don't want it too tight, but enough just to get it on there, man. That thing's gonna make a real tight, snug joint. So I'm gonna do the other one, and then do the other dado. Then I gotta figure out how I'm gonna cut this much material out of this post. That's gonna be a challenge. So I got the half lap joints done. They fit very nice, so you can kind of see what I did here. I love it. I just want to point out, if you want to build something like this at home, this is probably the most complicated way to do this joint. You could make these legs and dowel it, mortise and tenon it, pocket screw it if you can hide them and fill it with plugs. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways. This is probably the hardest way I could think of to do this. I enjoy making furniture and doing joinery, so this is a nice challenge for me. Also, I didn't put my dado stack in because I didn't want to destroy my cross-cut sled. I dropped it and it broke in half, so I should have just used the dado set. It would save me a couple minutes, but so that's how it goes. Now I gotta lay out the joint at the end of the post that will slip down over the feet, and it will, hopefully I don't screw it up because I've been doing pretty good so far, and I'm excited to slide it all together. I got it laid out for the cross mortises, I guess we'll call them, and it'll fit on the table saw. This is going to be a little sketchy, but or I could probably use the bandsaw or make a jig for the router. I have a lot of options, but I'm feeling using the table saw. But I'm not making a safety video here, so I probably wouldn't recommend this. It's going to be a little precarious. I have a 90-degree fence that I'm going to try to clamp it to and make it a little more stable, but I don't know why. I feel like this is going to be the easiest way. Probably isn't. I probably should use the bandsaw. Alright, bandsaw it is, because my table saw does not go up high enough to do what I need to do. So I'm going to use the bandsaw, and then I'll clean it up with a chisel if I need to. Alright, so the bandsaw was a little bit of a disaster. It did not track straight. I think the blade's dull. I did hit a nail like a couple months ago and kind of forgot about it, and I didn't cut straight. That sparked my memory that I need to replace the blade and probably tune the bandsaw a little bit. But so I'm going to use this router with an end mill and that fence on it and try to straighten that up a little bit. If not, I have enough to cut it off and start over and do it a different way. So let me see if I can fix it from here. Luckily it cut inside my lines and not, like, you know, didn't get past them, so I have enough material in there to fix the problem. So give it a try. I cut it off and started over. That little hand router I just couldn't keep a hold of. Even with shallow passes, it just didn't seem very accurate. So I set this system up. It's working much better. I got a fence with a spiral end mill. Now I just got to move the fence and clear out the other side. So this is it's much more accurate, and I'm able to control the material versus that little router, man. It was wicked. So this is what I probably should have did to start with, and hey, you learn. So hogged out. Still gonna be a little bit of handwork here because it's a round bit and I got square parts. So up here it also looks like one's not offset. One went a little deeper than the other, but I was planning on cleaning it up with a chisel anyway to make it square. So I'm gonna do that right now, and then see if it all fits together. So. Got the post all ready. The joinery down there is done. I do have to cut it to length yet, but before I do that, I want to run a chamfer on the sides. I think it'll make it look nicer, and plus I want it to match the other piece that I have in the house. So, and I did that on that. Alright, so I got the chamfer ran on all the edges that I wanted, even on the base. I sanded it down to I think 120 right now. I'm going to finish sand it to 220. And then I'm going to I'll glue it together on the base. And then I'm going to use this wiping poly on it. That's what I used on the piece I'm matching inside, so it really makes it a nice warm color, but I'm not going to stain it. So I got everything sanded. I'm going to use some 5-minute epoxy to glue this thing together. It'll be, I think, much stronger than normal wood glue. It's going to be a lot of pressure on this because Alright, so I got it all glued up. It's pretty sturdy. Really like it. But I ran over and got some of these hooks. So I'm going to figure out where I want them. I think I'm going to put them on before I finish it. That way if I scuff it up any. But I think I'm going to do one up here and then one here. And I'm deciding if I want to put another layer, maybe lower or something. But yeah, it turned out nice so far. I got my hooks laid out. I think this is the layout I like. I'm not sure. I just sent my wife some pictures to see what she has to say. But this, I got 4 at the top and then 2 down lower for probably like hanging bags or hats or something on, or your kids. So gonna let the boss make the final decision, and then I'm gonna go ahead and mount them, screw the holes and mount them up, and then finish sand again, and then finish it, and then it'll be done. So here it is, pegs in the final location. I think it looks pretty sweet. All they got to do is do the poly, and we'll be good to go. Get the hooks on, poly on, and just really see how nice that color turns. Alright, so that concludes this project. I really like making stuff like this. I don't have any plans, just an idea in my head, and what kind of wing it. Turned out really nice. So I'm excited to put it in my office and hang some stuff on it. Alright, thanks.